Hello, my name is Sarah Hodgson. I'm an educator of almost 30 years and this is my 6th year as a tech coach. I'm currently the digital learning coach at the American International School of Bucharest. I'm going to talk to you about a new initiative that I've set up in our ELC, Early Learning Centre. The Tinkertubs. I'm going to walk you through the process I went through in setting up the Tinkertubs. I'll start by giving some background as to how they came about. I'm hoping that you might be able to make connections here to your own setting. Then I'll explain the rationale behind creating the Tinkertubs in the first place, and finally I'll explain how I set up the Tinkertubs, what's in them, the system we use, and how we connect them to curriculum goals. A little bit of background. I joined AISB in August 2020. We spent almost the entire year online. I work across both ELC, early years, and elementary sections. I had very few opportunities to be in the school building to see what was there in terms of a makerspace. Being online meant I had time to research educational technology use in the early years. By the end of that year, I had written and presented a digital learning belief statement to the ELC leadership team. In August last school year, I presented the belief statement to the ELC team and they worked on editing it until we had the final version that you see here. We use this as an umbrella over everything tech and makerspace with our youngest learners in the school, ages 2 to 6. Last school year, my second year at the school, our elementary makerspace was up, open to students and developing well, which made me want to focus on providing maker experiences for the students in the ELC. In the ELC building, there was no physical space for a makerspace, but I knew that there had been one in some form in the past. I set about gathering resources that were already in the building to see what we had. I also decided whether or not we wanted to keep what I found. I started to formulate a rationale for providing maker opportunities for our students in the ELC. Starting with the why was an important part of the process. I ran a book club with teachers reading Invent to Learn. I highly recommend this book. The authors stress that the central thesis of the book is, and I quote, that children should engage in tinkering and making because they are powerful ways to learn. The book helped to guide my thinking around the experiences we needed to provide for our youngest learners. In the ELC, we draw pedagogical influence from the practices of Reggio Emilia, drawing connections between these Reggio practices and the PYP. Tinkering, making, and engineering already featured prominently in our classrooms. Working within a play-based setting, I wanted to provide students with extra and different opportunities for tinkering, making and engineering, to build on the Reggio and PYP pedagogy and enable students to develop a maker mindset. As John Spencer explains in his article, When Kids Develop a Maker Mindset, students grow more empathetic. They become explorers. They become problem solvers. They think divergently, meaning that they don't just think outside of the box, they also think about the box differently. Students are also more engaged with their learning and are able to make deep connections between ideas. They also learn to take creative risks. Knowing the resources I had and the pedagogy behind what I wanted to achieve, with no physical space to achieve it in, storing resources in some form of boxes seemed to be a natural progression from that. I considered setting up a small makerspace area in every classroom. While I've not completely abandoned this idea, and it's something that we might explore in the future, I wanted to start small, as teachers coped with the demands of being back in the school building and were working on other school-wide initiatives. It just didn't feel like the right time to push. As a coach, Upskilling and empowering teachers is a large part of what I do. I needed to create something that would eventually be run independent of me. And so, Tinker Tubs were born. I had a cupboard I could use, central to all classrooms. I had resources and had ordered more to supplement what we already had. It was time to get organised. Moving on to the logistics. I measured the space, bought boxes that fit, then arranged the resources into boxes. I also organised the resources into these 5 core areas. Then I created an information card for each tub. Here is an example. Each card is attached to the tub and shows which of the 5 core areas that particular Tinker Tub focuses on, and the learning opportunities that are provided by the contents. It has a list of contents. I also curated some digital resources for each box, so there are QR codes that link to videos or articles. These give teachers ideas about how to use the Tinker Tub and also provide other related resources. These cards are attached to each tub, and each tub is also barcoded, and teachers check them out through the ELC library system. I also created a Sheets document as a reference for teachers. They can search by learning area, activity, or learning opportunity without having to go directly to the Tinker Tubs. I also identified how Tinker Tubs might link to units of inquiry by looking for strong and authentic curriculum connections. As a coach, I am always looking for ways to build the capacity of the teachers I work with. As with some other initiatives in the school, my thinking around the implementation of the Tinker Tubs was guided by Drago Severson's ways of knowing. In September this year, I met with the ELC team for the launch of the Tinker Tubs. I focused on just raising awareness of them, identifying what they are, why we have them, and what's inside. Since then, I've started taking the tubs into the ELC classrooms, exploring them with the students. My goal for this stage is to coach the teachers in how the Tinker Tubs can work with their students, as well as giving teachers the time to play with the resources and to become familiar with what we have. I'm trying to keep the buzz going. These Tinker Tubs are not just for homeroom teachers. We have already seen Romanian mother tongue teachers using the Tinker Tubs in their work with students too. At AISB, we are currently undergoing a huge review of the programme of inquiry, aligning our curriculum horizontally and vertically. Part of this work will involve teachers reviewing the connections Tinker Tubs have to units. Part of this work will involve teachers reviewing the connections Tinker Tubs have to units, evaluating which tubs work and which don't, and creating a wish list of resources that they would like to add to what already exists to further develop maker mindsets in our young learners. It's important that teachers have ownership of these Tinker Tubs, and it's not just something in the domain of the tech coach. My hope is that Tinker Tubs move beyond being something that sits in a cupboard, that I am intentionally not the Tinker Tub lady, and that the teachers are able to use the Tinker Tubs with their students confidently and skillfully. My hope is that the Tinker Tubs become an integral part of the ELC experience, that our ELC students continuously tinker, make and engineer, that we are a tinkering community. As you can see, this process took a long time, from the initial ideas to then getting the tubs into the hands of teachers and students. It was fully customised for our setting, our students, and the learning goals in our curriculum. I'm looking forward to seeing where this journey takes us next, to infinity and beyond.